Welcome, friends. LostScarf here, and it's time for basically a podcast with Kyllax.
Hello?
Yep, and it's been a while.
Yes. Thanks for having me back.
You have interesting insights, of course. Oh, we're recording on Veterans Day, so thank you for your service, Kyllax. And
You're welcome. My pleasure. Be working tonight just to show you how much I appreciate you all.
Thanks to you, jackasses like me can talk about whatever we want. So thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. That was an awkward situation when somebody comes up to you and says, thank you for your service. So I just decided years ago that I'm just going to say you're welcome. I'm just going to borrow Moana, go to the Moana line and just be like,
you have kids, right?
Really...
Wait, what?
I do. I have one daughter. She just turned 8. Yeah.
So,
8.
How many times have you had to hear Moana?
From her, it wasn't. She's too old for Moana.
Okay.
Her it was Frozen. It was Frozen all. My granddaughter, though. Yes, I'm a grandpa. I'm the world's greatest grandpa. My granddaughter, however, Moana all the time.
Nice.
Like probably at least 20 times, if not more. I've seen Moana.
Dang. Yeah, I've seen it too many times. I really like Moana. I really hate Frozen.
Really?
I hate the plot twist of Frozen. I just hate it. It ruins the movie for me.
Okay. Right.
Probably because I really like that guy. I'm like, he's such a good guy. Now he's not. No, he's not.
Such a guy.
Like for me, it's like Obi-Wan with Anakin. He's like, you were the chosen one. You were the chosen one.
You're supposed to bring us together, not tear us apart.
Bringing that up real quick. Star Wars news. The dude who's behind The Last Jedi, he's gonna be helming the trilogy coming up after this trilogy. And
the trilogy
so he's like,
coming up now.
And it's not gonna be Skywalker related, which is interesting. And so there's different reactions. Like one is, oh, they better not kill Luke in this. I will not be happy with that. And the other one is, well, from him, so it was like, well, now I hope you guys really like The Last Jedi since I got to helm the next trilogy.
Well, that's what I read about, was that they must have really liked it if they're giving him a whole trilogy to himself.
Yeah,
like ridiculous. They must either have a lot of faith or he knocked Last Jedi out of the park.
Yeah, we'll find out soon enough. I'm glad it's not Abrams though. I like Abrams, but some of his ideas, no, because he's all about the mystery, and the mystery doesn't work in a trilogy. It works for the start, it doesn't work for the end. So I think it was perfect for 7, but he doesn't finish things out very well. He's just really good at starting them up, in my opinion.
The mystery of the lens flares is the only mystery I want to know about. Like I couldn't watch the last Star Trek one. The Wrath of Khan remake. It's just, or no, that was the one before the last one, I guess.
Wrath of Khan was the second one. The third one is, yeah.
It's just ridiculous. The amount of lens flares was just, ugh.
I don't know why he's in love with that. Like it's like John Woo and doves. Like just doves everywhere. Feathers all over the place.
I wonder if he has he must have like a dove wrangler or something, like a dove wholesaler, like on speed dial. He's like, oh, it's John Woo. I need some doves. Got a movie going on. I need like 1,000 doves right now.
Yeah, freaking. Did you get to play Battlefront 2 when they did the beta?
No, I was not a fan of Battlefront 1, and I'm trying not to support pay to win and I'm trying not to support loot boxes and stuff too much. I don't buy them, but even in Smite, I've never bought a loot box. It's just, it is gambling to me. I feel like it's gambling to me. And it's just disappointing, I feel.
Yeah.
Like, just let me buy what I want.
I wish, like, even in the Smite days, I really wish we could just buy what we want.
Right. But I mean, if you make good product, then you don't have to resort to these, and they just feel underhanded and morally gray.
Yeah.
Shenanigans, if you will.
Well, I was mentioning Battlefront 2, and we're going to get back to it again as well, but there's just dubs everywhere on Coruscant. They're just everywhere. Like, damn, John Woo had a hand in this game, apparently. It's weird.
Yeah.
But talking about loot boxes and the fact that was it ESRB doesn't consider it gambling.
Yeah.
I get why, and it's an example of I feel like the system needs to catch up, which is very far behind in everything. Like patent law needs to catch up, and ESRB needs to catch up, and all this stuff because it is gambling, but it is different because of how rigid the definition is, because it's monetary gain, and you're not making monetary gain specifically from loot boxes, but you're gambling because it's a chance of getting this or getting that at whatever product. But it is when it comes to the skins and stuff with when they were doing was it CS:GO and that with the skins, that's definitely gambling for dang sure there.
Yeah.
Because that was literal monetary gain.
Yeah. No, I don't agree with the ESRB at all, especially their defense that you're getting something of value. There's no chance of you getting nothing. And I think that's kind of sidestepping the issue. Plus, I mean, if you invest $1 and you get back something worth 5 cents, how is that not gambling? I mean, they tell you at slot machines and so forth, the payout rate is 97%, or they'll say 99% or whatever, under 100% payout rate. Just to kind of lull you into that false sense of security, like, oh, I have a 97% chance of getting something. Well, in this case, you're getting a 100% chance of getting something, but what you're getting is arguably not worth what you invested.
Yeah, being someone who goes to Vegas way too much, it's 97% over what time period is the real question there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, someday someone's gonna hit that big jackpot. That's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
No one ever hits it, but it's supposed to be. It's possible. But yeah, a spray. No one wants this spray. No one wants this random tag or like. There's so much useless fluff or tat that you get that you didn't want, and it's unfortunate. Like at least, arguably there are things you want when it was original concept of like it's essentially putting money into those what's it called? It's like gachas, but old
Skinner
school
boxes?
like not skin boxes, but like you put like a quarter in a thing and you get like a little plastic ball with a toy in it.
Right.
And it's like that, gotta get them all or stuff like that. But in this way it's different rarities and all that, and I guess it's like card packs as well. You have rare cards and stuff in the card packs, but at least you can play those cards, even the
at least
stuff.
You're getting something physical out of that you can buy and sell and trade on the market. You can't sell or trade your digital loot because it doesn't belong to you. It's part of the terms of service and end user license agreement when you install a game is that all that stuff does not belong to you. Therefore, you cannot sell it or resell it or trade it or basically get rid of it. It's just yours. So, collectible card games, on the other hand, you can take it, find a buyer who wants that card, and then sell it or trade it or do whatever you want with it. Burn it, make some heat for your house.
Yeah, I got some randomly rare stuff that's probably worth a bit, but yeah. And just buying cards and selling cards and stuff like that. When I was in high school, there was a bit of a market with that, and I was looking at it. And oh my god, cards are worth so much.
You're talking like baseball cards, or what kind of cards are you talking?
Like Magic cards, and I was around when Pokemon cards first came up when I was in high school, and like getting a Charizard or something like that was worth like a lot of money because it was like it's that cool Pokemon card and stuff like that. Baseball cards, oh my god, there's so much speculation market going on with that. As a gift, one of my dad's friends bought me like a 50 pack. It's like, well, there might be a rare card in there. It's like, okay. And we actually still have those. They're like 20 years old. I don't know if they're worth anything. But it's weird how cards have some sort of like speculation market behind them, like baseball cards and stuff, and even Magic cards and such.
I think there are actual websites you can go to and you can kind of see the market value of your card, like kind of like a stock market
Yeah,
ticker. You'll see, it goes up during this year and then goes down,
it's kind of
and
fascinating. Like, I'm trying to remember. There is a baseball card. It's worth the most money because there's only like 16 of them. And the reason for that was the baseball player it is. I can't remember his name. It's just some random baseball player. Well, he's probably big then. But it was for chewing tobacco, I believe. And he found it abhorrent. So he had them destroy all of his cards. And so there's only a couple that exist. And so they're worth a lot of money.
Interesting. He must have found out after the fact.
Yeah. So it's interesting what can cause speculation and such. But going back a little bit on, let's say, Blizzard and loot boxes, Blizzard doesn't think they're part of the problem.
I disagree, but Roger, I heard that too, where they said their loot boxes are different. I actually think their loot boxes are worse. Because they're full of crap, and you can't even buy the currency unless something has changed. I'm kind of haven't played Overwatch in a while, but unless something has changed, you can't even buy the currency directly to buy the skin or whatever that you want directly. No, you have to go buy loot boxes to get anything in that game.
Yeah, definitely. That goes back to like the notions with Smite, where you have to buy loot boxes for certain skins. You could buy a lot of skins, but you had to buy loot boxes for certain skins in Smite. And Overwatch is the same thing. You have in that case, you can buy nearly everything, but there are certain ones that can only be loot boxed as well. But you have to keep buying loot boxes to get that currency. You can't just have the currency. Like Smite, you can at least have the currency. Gems, you can at least buy gems to get skins.
Right.
Where Overwatch, you have to get the gold for it. So you have to buy more loot boxes. So yeah, I agree. That I didn't even think about is you can't even buy the currency, which makes it pretty egregious. And for me, they normalized it, I feel. I feel like they normalized loot boxes in a big way. Because they were just this big game, everyone got crazy on the hype on it. I really like Overwatch. I don't play anymore, but I like the lore. And I like their skins. They're really nice skins. And so, yeah, I bought loot boxes, and I level up a lot to get more loot boxes. That's something at least nice is you can level up to get loot boxes. But you can't buy the currency to get it. So it's constantly just on the luck for it. But they did normalize loot boxes. Just the concept of loot boxes itself, they normalized it very well, in my opinion.
I agree.
Because even though it's only cosmetic, so it's not pay for power like Battlefront 2, it still did normalize loot boxes for people, where the goalpost got moved. It used to be no loot boxes at all, and then it went, okay, cosmetic only loot boxes are okay, and that's what Overwatch did. That's definitely what Overwatch did. And you have some people who hate that, who don't think that should have happened, that they should have moved the goalposts, but they did. And I've always been okay with cosmetics, but I never thought about the fact you can't buy the currency. And that's very true. That's a good point. You can't buy the currency. And at least with HOTS, with Heroes of the Storm, you can buy the currency. You can do that. I think you can also buy the boxes with the currency. But everything in that game can be bought with currency unless I'm not thinking of certain things. I'm sure there's some rare things you can only box, or they're only for special occasions, like the summer skins. I have to go back and look later to double check on that for myself. But that is the frustration.
Anybody in the comments below?
Yeah, it could help out if I forget to check. Are there loot box only skins in HOTS? There are some in Overwatch, but they're only for certain occasions as well. That's the ones that kill me, is you have to be here during this holiday time, and it has to be through a loot box. You can't buy it any other way. I hate that.
Limited time offers.
Yeah, I've always been against that, even back in the Smite days with like Poseidon. I'll always be against that, because like it's artificial rarity because it's a digital thing. I would love it if someone who didn't know about Smite 5 years later could still get that skin, because it's such a cool skin. Right. It's like they missed the boat because they just weren't old enough. They just didn't have a computer. They just didn't have it. And so it sucks to be them. And so I'm not a fan of that. It's a
But
good
what if it
product.
was? What if it's advertised that way? I guess
Yeah,
a lot of people get angry about that. What was it like the what was it the 2012 Artemis skin?
mhm,
Used to be like the rarest skin in Smite, and then it came back, and they started offering it in like loot boxes or something, where you could
yeah.
get it for free or buy it or something directly, and people got all upset
Mhm.
because it's now available, and it was advertised as this limited rare one time offer kind of thing.
That is
I can
true.
see some people
Is
getting upset about that, but
mhm. Like it drives sales because like, oh, I got to get it now. I can't get it later. I got to get it now. And it's like, well, they'll probably still get it. They still would have gotten it later. It's just you don't get the big jump right now. I don't know, but yeah, it's all about you got to get it now. Buy now. Sale. The sale is now. It's not later. It's now. So you got to get it now. And I don't know. I always believe in the long con over the short gain. That's just how I've always seen it. So I don't
the
know.
law of diminishing returns.
Because the more you have people over, the worse it's going to be later on the line. They're going to be more distrustful.
Yeah, you can only shear. You can what is it? You can shear sheep many times, but kill them only once.
That's a good one. I like that one. Never thought of that one. Uh,
Rounders,
moving. It's what?
Rounders, movie
Oh,
with Matt
really?
Damon,
Huh.
poker movie.
Oh, I haven't seen that in so long. Oh, the John Malkovich's accent in that movie is amazing.
I love that.
It's like
I reference that all the time.
I want to do a Russian accent. Why? I just do. Just do.
I just ooh.
Oh, that movie.
All
When
night
they
long. Jack. He trapped me.
look at
Big
him go. He beat me.
money.
He beat me.
He beat me straight up.
Oh, that
Well, the
movie.
last time, for the last time I stick it in you.
Oh, we're
It's a
old.
good character.
John Malkovich just acts the heck out of things in weird ways.
You ever seen the movie Being John Malkovich?
Oh, I saw it when I was a kid. That was just too
Uh-huh.
insane for me.
Oh yeah.
And that
Well, there's
ending
a
is
scene.
just even.
There's a
What?
scene in it where I don't know if you remember the scene where Malkovich goes into his own head and then he
And
comes out and he's walking
everyone's.
along. He's walking alongside the road after he exits his own head,
Oh,
and the truck comes by.
yeah.
Like, hey, Malkovich, think fast. Just bashes him with his empty beer can. Malkovich is
Yeah.
like, bro, F. And says, Friday. But it was actually done impromptu. It was, from what I've read and what I've heard, is just that was all. I can't even think of the word right now.
Yeah, it was. They just
Off
spurred a moment.
cuff,
The
if
guy
you
just
will.
did it.
Loot
Go,
boxes,
Going back on that
Battlefront.
with, yeah, Battlefront 2. They talked. Dice did some interviews recently. I didn't see the Angry Joe interview yet, unfortunately. But the interview was that I've read. Other interviews was that they've heard the feedback, so they're going to make some changes, and you have to play the game enough and get lucky to get the loot boxes for them. Like you can buy the loot boxes anytime, but in order to use the higher level stuff, you have to play the game enough to unlock the ability to use them. So it's
Yeah, I was
like,
just reading that. I was just reading the article about it.
mhm,
It's like you can buy it and you can buy loot boxes, and what the article was saying is that the loot box gets you ahead further only to like a certain point. Like you have to like you're saying you have to reach a certain level in order to unlock enough slots to use some of the stuff. Like you
yeah,
can only have like one or two slots, I'm not sure. But then as you
it's
level up you get more slots available, but the cards that you do have do make you more full during that time at the end game, I guess, or when you reach a certain level, it just becomes moot, supposedly. Like you
mhm.
can get to the same level as somebody who bought a loot box, but it's going to take some grinding, I guess. So the loot boxes are as intended or as designed to bypass all that grinding and so forth. So for anybody that wants to invest time or invest money for their time.
Mm, it's weirdly vague. I don't. It's still not exactly perfect to understand what the hell they're going after. Like, it's supposed to be pay for convenience, not pay to win, but I can't tell if they're still doing pay to win, but they made it a little bit different, or if it's pay to convenience, or you unlock the ability to pay for higher level things. Because there's also crafting, but they haven't explained whether or not you have to own it before you can craft to upgrade something, or can you just craft the card right away. There's still a lot more explanation that could come up for it, because it's still a bit weird. Like, they're making it sound like even if you play a lot, you still got to get lucky with the loot system, which is very unfortunate. But
Right.
that's how they do the loot system. So I don't know. I'm gonna wait until I see people actually play and experience the loot system to really understand what's going on with that. Because I feel like they're still being a bit vague on explaining it, so that they can just get the thing out already because it's almost here. And then you're like, well, crap, I bought the game.
Right. Shadiness, and I don't know about you. That's kind of why I don't pre-order anymore. Like, I'm gonna wait till the game comes out, if that. Thankfully, I've been out of I had been out of the video games scene for so long that I can go back now, and there's so many games, so many even series that I have never even played before, that I have a backlog of stuff that I can go through or go back through. Like, I just started The Witcher right now. I've never played The Witcher or anything in the Witcher series, so I can go through that. I've never played Skyrim. I got all that I can go through, so there's really no need for me to pre-order anything, or especially you're rolling the dice on whether or not the game's going to be good or playable, or packed full of microtransactions, or anything like that. I think that's where the bubble is going to be for the video game market, if there is one, is in the pre-order. And then I think they're going to, like you said earlier, they're going to ruin their goodwill or the trust of the general public. People are no longer going to believe in it, and I think we'll see Kickstarter is maybe dying off some more, and then it'll kind of trickle down from there. Kickstarters, and then probably pre-orders, and then even season passes and stuff like that. Have you seen that you can now pre-order microtransactions?
I heard about that. I was like, what?
They call it ICO, or initial currency offering.
It's like, oh
and
my
that
god,
is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I think I heard about it last night, but I forgot to look it up. I thought someone was joking. I'm like, huh?
Yeah. Yes, you can pre-order microtransactions.
Like season passes is pre-ordering later DLC, is what that is. But microtransactions, holy crap. Like, for me, you have to really trust the game to do the pre-order. Like, if I can pre-order Monster Hunter World, I'll pre-order Monster Hunter World. Because Monster Hunter has a pedigree of being very good to the consumer. Every game they've made, it's really good, and it's free. It has free DLC, which is a bunch of costumes and a bunch of monster fights. I was gonna say master, but it's not. It's a bunch of monster fights, just different combinations of monster fights that you can do, different quests, and it's always free. It's always been free. They pack in as much as they can into this thing, and it's just awesome. They do very right by the player, and it's great. So if Monster Hunter World has a pre-order, I'm going to do that for sure, because they've earned my trust over literal decades, for sure. But EA has destroyed any trust over literal decades, or even just years. They've done it. Warner Brothers as well.
WB, Activision, Ubisoft starting to get up there.
Yeah, definitely Ubisoft's gotten there. I did pre-order Destiny 2 because I knew I was going to play it no matter what. I knew that already. I pre-ordered that. I pre-ordered what I know I'm going to play. And it's just to make sure I have it down, so I don't know, oh, hey, I have extra money. Like, oh, wait, I don't have the money now for Destiny 2.
The money now.
Like, it's to make sure, for me, pre-ordering is to make sure I don't accidentally spend the money, because I know I'm going to use it on this thing. And Destiny 2, it gets gripes. I don't understand the gripes yet, because I haven't done anything with it. I know there's the gripe that I haven't finished the story, but apparently it's the same thing as 1, where it's not, when you finish it, it's not actually finished. You need the damn season pass. And I've started to give on that one a bit, if they actually finish the damn thing. Give on that a bit because it just, if you're going to craft a story, maybe it takes parts. And this is partially maybe because of Telltale and Life is Strange, where they've been episodic. So it's kind of got me kind of used to waiting for more content in a way. And I forgot to mention that for us, Telltale. Like when we were writing up the list of things we wanted to talk about, I forgot to write down Telltale's Layoffs. But Telltale, it's a different reason from the others why the layoffs have happened, because there's been so many layoffs.
There have. Like, a lot of layoffs.
It's unfortunate. At least this bigger conversation, which we'll get to, but I guess go down the line. First up is Visceral and EA. Visceral gets axed by EA. And it...
Surprise.
It's unfortunate because, of course, people were predicted it years ago that Visceral was going to get axed because Visceral doesn't match up with what EA wants. Mm-hmm. And EA is like, we don't want to do single players anymore. We want to do services. And that gave them the key word, because we're going to hear it again in another company, service. They want to be a service. They don't want to make single players. They want to be a service. And that is going to be Battlefront 2. That is Battlefield.
Now it's going to be Titanfall 3.
Oh god. If Titanfall, after Titanfall 3, we're going to see Titanfall's company die as well, probably, unless it's really good. Yeah, Respawn's a company?
I think that's the name of it. I might be wrong.
I like their games, but when you're under EA, who knows? That's the scary part. And it sucks. The thing is,
so many designers.
Mm-hmm. The thing about Visceral is some people didn't understand, so I'll explain here. They thought Visceral was a company, then they signed on with EA. And Visceral has been EA from beginning. They originally were called Redwood's EA, because they've always been there. And then when they made the horror game Dead Space, when they made Dead Space, they changed their name to Visceral. And they've always been an EA company. They never broke free or anything like that. And so it just sucks because the Dead Space, of course, a lot of people like that game. Dead Space 2. And then 3 is where we saw EA get their hooks in there when it came to loot boxes and everything. And it just fundamentally changed what Dead Space was. And I think that was what gave people clues like, we're not going to see Visceral anymore eventually, because they've taken a direction and EA's taken a different direction and they're diverging. And who knows what's going to happen. And we now know what happened. Yeah, but it spawned the whole single player's dead talk. And it's like, how many games would like a word with you?
Yeah. So many games, especially over the last couple of years, I mean, have been great single player games. I mean, look at this year alone. Mario Odyssey is freaking knocking it out of the park. You got Zelda Breath of the Wild. Those are both Nintendo titles, but Wolfenstein 2 is it's not bad, but it's a pretty good game experience.
It's just showing up right now. What's it called? Nier Automata was a big hit. I think it was a big hit.
Nier Automata. Hellblade is that independent one that they did.
Hellblade.
GTA 5 just became the biggest selling game in history.
Yeah, that one goes in both directions. Like, because of their online, because of GTA multiplayer, because they're not even doing any more single player, is what I understand. They're just going to do only multiplayer content now, and it's because they make so much off those shark cards. They make so much off those cards. They're just making bank off that thing as a service. Like, people are buying it, but they're buying it for multiplayer, is my understanding. Oh, GTA the single player is an amazing game in my opinion. But they see it as a service moneymaker, and that's how they're pushing it. And so, I don't know, it's in both directions on that one, but GTA, quite a thing. There's just a lot of single player games that are really good, and there's of course really good service games, which we're calling them now. They're being called service games instead of multiplayer. They're just service games now that are really good. I think it's the big companies just want these service games because they have the potential for whalage, because who doesn't want to hunt them whales? So there's going to be a lot of AHABing from the big companies, and I worry about that a little bit, because what that does is it's exactly what happened. Visceral went down, and it leads into Perfect World, with Runic and Motiga. Perfect World did the same thing. They killed Runic, and they severely cut down Motiga. With the same wording of, we want to focus on service. We want to focus on service games, so we're cutting loose Runic, because that's more single player, and we're cutting down Motiga, which was gigantic, which, of course, wasn't a big hit, unfortunately. I really wish it was. It's a pretty good game, but it was not a big hit. Runic, of course, if you don't know what Runic is, it is, well, for the viewers, they made...
kind of like a Diablo game,
yeah,
right?
They made Torchlight 1 and 2, and Hob, which wasn't going to be a success. Torchlight 1, not bad. Like, these guys made Diablo 2, if I remember correctly. And so they went off and made Torchlight, and it was an improvement, it was pretty good. And then Torchlight 2 sold 3.5 million copies? Or 3.8. But that's overall, though. When they first came up, I think they sold 2 million, which is like full price, closest to that. And then later on, it's sales and humbles and stuff. So they sold about 3.8 million copies overall with Torchlight 2. And they did not want to make a Torchlight... they didn't want to make a Torchlight 3 because they were burning out on Diablo.
Mm-hmm.
So they made Hob, which was a unfortunately very buggy, interesting game, but buggy, and wasn't going to grab a mass audience, in my opinion. And it didn't, unfortunately. And they're gone. The thing that's weird, though, is they're under Perfect World. Perfect World is nothing but MMOs until they got Runic and did Torchlight, which is so weird. So it's not a big surprise with that one, but it still sucks to see a single-player company, well, not necessarily single-player, but a company doing interesting IPs going down as well, because the company wants to focus more on service.
Mm-hmm. It's just the direction the games company is going. From what I've seen, it's like game companies are using that as a way to not really, boost their revenue stream, but also make their revenue stream like more predictable. Because before all this happened, it was all dependent on your sales and speculation, and it was either you did really well or you did pretty well, or you just like tanked. Like nobody bought your game.
That's what's always weird to me about games with loot systems, because they're gonna make money, which is unfortunate. But you hope they don't, and you would hope they would be actually more speculative, where like maybe it'll do well, maybe it won't. But no, people just buy boxes, dang it. And I've talked before, I've played a lot of mobile games. A lot. And there are so many whales in those games. They spend thousands, tens of thousands of dollars just to crap on people without money. It's really unfortunate. And so it's just always been a thing for a very long time. But we haven't seen it on the same scale on PC, on console, but we're going to start seeing that, it looks like. And that's very unfortunate, because phone games are just a nice waste of time, but they are not very good games at all in any way. Because money isn't a skill, for God's sakes. But there are those who believe it is, which is weird. And it's very frustrating.
It's extremely frustrating.
But when it comes to Telltale...
we're part of the problem. I mean, people are part of the problem.
For sure. They're buying these things, for crap's sakes. But there's... Telltale cut down their company by 25%. They want to focus more on bringing in more quality, not trying to do everything. And... I've liked Telltale games. They've gotten a bit stale here and there, but I really like them overall. It's unfortunate, but they were trying to do everything. Like, they had a Guardians of the Galaxy story, which I didn't even know they had one of those. They were doing Game of Thrones.
Batman.
Yeah, Batman.
Game of Thrones.
Borderlands. Like, they're all over the place, yeah. And I found them enjoyable, but holy crap, I guess their sales weren't doing too well on some of them, and so they cut down. And because... in so close vicinity, you hear all these different companies having either these companies are dying or they're cutting down and stuff like that. You get these arguments from developers, not just random people, but also developers saying the video games industry is not sustainable. So what do you think? What do you think of that? That they think it's not sustainable?
I don't think it's that it's not sustainable. I just think it's we're experiencing another glut, like an overload of. I mean, look at all the releases on Steam. used to be back in the day, back in my day, you would get like one good game a year, if that. But it's the same thing, kind of history repeating itself. I mean, look at Atari, look at Nintendo, just all the releases of games, and then you can kind of track the trajectory. It just reaches a certain point where it's just you're putting out so much garbage, or you're putting out so many flops or failures as an industry as a whole, and then there's a backlash from the general population, or the video gamer population, if you will. That I think that's the way we're headed. I think we're headed for another bust, if you will. I'm kind of hard to see where or what form it will take this time. I think we'll experience. I think they'll experience a backlash in the pre-order. I think the video game companies and designers are going to get too greedy, and they're gonna do something finally, and someday, and then people are gonna be like, "Nope, done. No more of this. I'm not buying any more. I'm out of this, if you will."
I think the big difference between now and then is there's so many eggs in so many baskets compared to when that happened, because there were only a couple companies. Like there were quite a few developers, but it was all consoles and stuff for the most part. I feel like now there's too many eggs in too many baskets because of the ceiling and the floor is a lot lower, I feel, because Steam, the reason why we have so many freaking games is the ceiling for them is just 100 to get your game on Steam. And so we have this gigantic supply, just a huge supply. And what that does is it is hurting already the indies, because there's so many indies to compete with. They're in a sea of games, and only a few get recognized and they climb up. And it's very unfortunate. There's some really quality games that are not getting recognized every single day. Every day. And it's very unfortunate. But I don't see that floodgate getting stopped, because it's up to Steam to stop that, and they're not going to stop it. So many people want to make games, and they're just coming out. For the bigger companies, I would love to see a pre-order fail. Like, one of the big guys having a pre-order fail would be nice to see, because it would be nice for them to wake up and go, maybe we should do a different tactic. Like, maybe we should be not... Maybe we shouldn't be trying to take everyone's money. Like, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to not have loot boxes be a thing. Like, you actually earn your stuff, or you just have the stuff you want. Because that was a thing a long time ago. It used to be, you like these colors? Well, there you go. You already have the colors. You don't have to buy the colors. Whatever colors you like, you have them. You got all the crayons from the crayon box right now. You have to spend $1 for this crayon.
Another thing to consider is not only the money aspect, but also the time aspect. Because I think it was Total Biscuit was talking about this, where games are just asking you to invest so much time into them. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of playtime, and grinding and so forth. It's like there's only so many ways you can split a pie. There's only so many ways you can slice it up and have enough to make a good dessert, if you will. So I think they'll reach, the pendulum will reach its tipping point, or however you want to phrase that, and then I think the gaming industry will dial it back a little bit, and then they'll probably dial it back a little too much, but that's just the way it works.
I think in the major publishing, major publishing will dial it back. I don't see indie ever dialing it back, because they can't. Everyone needs to get their foot in the door somehow, and they're all going to put their foot in the door at the same time and break the damn door. But for big industry, I think probably like we might see something going on in that direction. But I don't see Steam ever slowing down. I don't.
They can. It's in their best interest.
Yeah.
It's in their business model. It's in their best interest to sell as many games as possible, I guess, or get as many people on Steam as possible.
Like Steam is. Oh, what are you saying? Sorry.
It's good, but it's also concerning and bad in a way.
Yeah, like Steam is too big to fail in their situation. Like they have to keep going, because everyone's relying on Steam to be around at this point, because everyone's library is on Steam for the most part. Like,
Yeah.
I have 1,400 games on Steam. I need Steam to not go down. I need that because Daddy's got too many games. Like, I only have like 2 games on EA.
That's so true.
What?
I actually had never thought of that before. That Steam is being relied upon so heavily now, and you're probably right. If Steam were ever to go down, maybe that's the form that the next video game bust will take. Is just Steam. Knock on wood. I'm not wishing this upon anybody. I'm not even wishing it upon me. I don't have 1,400 games. I think I have like 90 games on my library, but I don't wish this upon anybody. But maybe it would be sort of karmic justice, if you will, and that Steam kind of either fell out of favor or just went under, if you will.
It would be
but you're probably
insane.
right. They're too big to fail right now.
Like, it would be absolutely insane if they went down. Like, Steam were like, hey guys, we're done, bye. It's like, holy shit. Like, what? Consoles would be huge. Like, they'd be like, doesn't matter, we're fine.
Other gaming services, good old gamings or GOG gaming, if you will.
Oh yeah, like GOG, GOG.
Like all that, there'd be a lot of ancillary and what we call second and third order effects to that, because think about like Humble Bundle, and all those websites that kind of deal in Steam codes, if you will.
Like I'm using Humble in a big way because Steam has done things where you can't really buy games for other countries anymore. Canada and America can't buy games for each other anymore. Really? Humble Bundle lets you. So everything I buy for giveaways is through Humble now, because the gift link, you give it to someone else and then they turn it into a Steam code, it'll be for their country. So if I, American, buy a gift, I buy a Humble game and I send it to a Canadian, it becomes a Canadian code. Whereas if I buy it through Steam, it does not.
It suddenly becomes a Canadian game. Everybody's apologizing everywhere. Talk about all the boot. What's this about? Man.
Yeah, there's just a Tim Hortons.
It's just Tim. Just add Tim Hortons, eh? Bunch of hosers.
I went there. Tim Hortons is amazing.
Yeah.
But that was an aside. Yeah, because Steam's just too big. Like, it's I want to believe they're constantly managing themselves to keep going and everything, and the floodgates really helping them out. Like, they're making, like, every single game's like 100. The reason why, of course, Activision did not put Destiny on Steam is because Steam would get a cut of that, and that's a big game right there. So luckily they're like, oh hey, wait, we're half of a company. Blizzard, can we go on here?
Yeah.
And like, it's the first Activision game on there, and people are like, what the hell? What's Activision doing? It's like, you guys forget they're the same company, right? Like, Activision and Blizzard are one company, guys.
Yeah, I did not realize that myself.
Yeah, but, like we forget.
That makes it even more concerning, because did you see the loot box or matchmaking system patent?
Oh yeah,
filed by Activision.
I'm really curious what the hell they're gonna do with that.
It's super concerning. The gist of it is that if you are a player or a new player without any purchases, or very few purchases or loot or whatever, they're going to match you with somebody that has a ton of loot and purchases. And in order to either, I guess, demonstrate the value of the loot system, or just get shellacked and just get beat down over and over again until you realize, oh hey, maybe if I buy the same things these people have, I will be good too.
Having played mobile games for 10 years, I'm already not going to buy anything Activision at this point. If it's anything multiplayer, like Destiny, I'm fine because it's a very single player experience for me. Or a duo. Me and Jinx are playing it, but it's because it's a looter shooter. That's what it is for me. It's not a multiplayer game for me. It's like one of the Destiny's problems is it's too much of a looter shooter. You're constantly getting new weapons that are better than what you got, so you keep switching out, and so you never get attached to a weapon, which is very unfortunate. That's something I really like about Path of Exile is you can get attached to a weapon and you can keep upgrading it, which is really nice. But you brought up, oh crap, I forgot what you brought up. You brought up, oh no,
loot box patents.
Division loot box patents. Shoot, it was something you brought up that was something was not that would be worth talking about, and no, I forgot it, and that's okay. Well, forget it. I forgot.
Move on. Just let it go. Come back, maybe.
So, different topic. This is some BS up in here, and I was telling you this before. So, Nintendo and SanDisk are teaming up. You can have Nintendo-branded SanDisk memory cards.
Oh, okay.
I have one. I have a SanDisk memory card in the Switch right now. I have one in my phone. I had one in my camera. Like, I have one in the Wii, I think. I think the Wii had a SanDisk slot you could put in, or the Wii U did. And so, like, SanDisk has always been a go-to guy for memory sticks. Like, I have memory sticks that are SanDisk. I think this one is. Yeah, I just have... When it comes to memory, SanDisk seems like the way to go. They're kind of cheap and everything, but they do a good job. So they're teamed up with Nintendo, so you can buy Nintendo-branded SanDisk memory cards at, like, GameStop and stuff.
Okay.
300% markup. That's where it's mind-blowing. You can get a $30 SanDisk, the exact same one with Nintendo logo on it, for $90.
What?
And I'm like, what? The idea, it's like, okay. Apparently, you just take a purse and put Prada on it, and you expect to get more money out of it. Is what this is. That's what it seems like.
You're paying for the brand.
Yeah, brands have power, which has always been an interesting thing, but
not that much power.
Like, are you kidding me? I don't know. Like, people are willing to buy things because of brands, but it's so weird to me. A SanDisk that's 30 is now 90 because Nintendo's on it. Like, it's...
That's super weird.
Like, there's that old...
maybe they're just feeling out the market, maybe.
I guess they are. They're like, hey, is Nintendo on it? People buy Nintendo. I don't know if it's SanDisk's decision or combined it's their decision, or if Nintendo said for our license it's going to cost this much. I'm like, I'd rather not even do it at all, because for me, there was only one choice when I learned I could put a memory card thing in a micro SD. I could put a micro SD in the Switch, and that was SanDisk. That was the only option in my mind. And I figured that would be the same for others. So I don't know. I guess maybe they felt that other people were buying other brands, so they had to put Nintendo on it, so that people are buying SanDisk. I'm not sure. But that's what it is.
I'm not sure either. I guess I'd have to look into the whole market and whether or not they kind of if they have a corner on the market, I guess that kind of makes sense. But if they don't, I feel like nowadays most people brand loyalty is kind of something that's going away. In my mind, is that people, I don't think people are searching for the Nintendo specific SanDisk anymore. They're going on Amazon, or they're going on Newegg or Tiger Direct or whatever, and they're just trying to find the best deal.
I feel like you don't have a choice but to find the best deal. So we can't really do these branded deals. Like, goddamn millennials, and they're not having any money. That's why everything's dying. Because it's like, millennials are killing the diamond market. We don't have any money for diamonds. Also, they're rocks.
Yeah.
Millennials are killing Applebee's. Yeah. We don't have any money for Applebee's.
Have any money?
Like, millennials are killing everything. I can't afford anything, guy. Of course I'm killing your market. I can't afford your market. Like, guys, where's the money at? You have the money, apparently, because I don't.
Yeah.
It's, what do you want? You can't get blood from a stone unless you really, really hated that stone and you put blood in it to do it. That was a weird tangent. But,
blood-filled stone, come on.
Bloodstones. Like, barely now, what the real estate market is getting surprised because, like, holy crap, millennials are buying homes. And it's because we're starting to get money again because the economy went to crap, and it takes a long time to recover the economy. And it's finally starting to show signs of it, which might open up another real estate bubble. I hope not, but everything's in cycles. And so millennials are buying things again. And like me, I just got a job. I literally just got a millennial scarf, just got a job with benefits and everything. And I'm like, I can afford things again. Holy crap, I can buy things again. And it's like, hey, I'm not gonna buy diamonds, but I'm like, hey, I can afford things. Maybe you won't complain about me, guys. It's so weird, blame millennials. Like, I don't know if on the radio, multiple radio stations will put it like this: advertise on the radio. You can reach kids, adults, and even millennials. I'm like,
right.
What do you mean, even millennials?
What do you mean, even millennials?
Where are we in this thing? Like, where are the millennials at? Like,
you're your own genre, worthy of mentioning, and
so bad.
And it's funny you should bring that up because I just read that somebody tried to define a micro generation in between millennials and Generation Xers.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 1976 to 1981, I think, is what they said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The whole generation thing is hokum, if you ask me. It's
because it's so vague. Everyone's a millennial now. Like, well, it was Generation Y, and then at some point, Generation Y disappeared, and it was just millennials.
I've heard Generation Y, Generation Next.
Generation Next.
I think I even saw like Generation Z or something. But millennial. If you watch Adam Ruins Everything, he did a little talk conference thing about this, and he's like, generations are baloney. It kind of all started with Generation X, and the reason it started with Generation X is because they defined it in, I think it was Time magazine, I believe, and then that like just sold, and whoever defined that term or that concept of Generation X just made a buttload of money.
Okay.
So it's all about making money. And he went on to prove like how things people say about millennials and so forth are kind of things that they've been saying since the beginning of time. And the newspaper's going to ruin everything, or millennials are on their cell phones all the time, and they're watching media all the time. And then you go back to boomers and so forth, and the TV came out, and like, oh, these kids are watching too much TV, blah blah blah, they're gonna ruin their mind, that's all they want to do. And then you go back even further to like I don't even know what that generation's called, but like the Depression era kind of generation. And it's like, oh, newspapers, all the people are reading the newspapers and not interacting with people and so forth and so on. So
there's always a whipping boy. There is always a requirement for a whipping boy, because people can't just go like, all right, well, things are shit. There always has to be a whipping boy. Like, and I hope the next generation, like either this or the next, just gets beyond that. I hope they won't, because there's the jokes like, yeah, we're taking our lumps. I can't wait to beat on the next generation myself. Like, okay. Like, we could just break the cycle.
Like, no, it's like a frat boy. It's like a frat house, man.
Oh, jeez.
You put all your time into it. You go through the hazing and initiation phase, and then when you get to that point, you're just like, oh no, it's my turn. And comeuppance, or revenge for all those, not realizing that you're not getting revenge on the people that.
Yeah, you're just hitting someone else. just perpetuating it. Because it's like, well, I survived alcohol poisoning. Time to see if they can survive alcohol poisoning. Right. Oh dear. Anything else in gaming? There's always something in gaming, but I cannot remember the one I wanted to talk about because I suddenly remembered it, and then I have now forgotten it again. But the debate, maybe not just Nintendo. Look, the highest rated games this year are Breath of the Wild and I think Odyssey.
I'm not sure if the numbers have come back, but
and then Persona 5. And there might be one more. But like, I think the top 5 are It's 3 Nintendo games are the top 3 or top 4, and 2 of them are Breath of the Wild,
Right.
and then it's Odyssey. And I think it's Persona. If it's not Persona, it's one other game. I can't remember which one it is. But I know people love the hell out of Persona 5. They really like that one. But like Nintendo is just there. As far as soundtrack of the year, I'm giving it to Cuphead for sure so far. Have you heard any of the Cuphead music?
Yeah, I've watched a couple of your videos. I've seen some playthroughs. The music is amazing.
Oh
Art
man.
style. I mean, just what went into making that art style was ridiculous too. But
they captured the soul of that era. They really did.
oh yeah,
Oh
definitely
man.
that big band music.
Yes, it's so good. You can just watch the actual bands play them. It's so very amazing to see that, and it's just a really good soundtrack. There's some really good soundtracks, but Cuphead for sure. That's an amazing soundtrack, and yes, mentioning that because why not mention Cuphead? We can talk about that debate because I was down during that debate. It was like hardcores and all that crap. Get good, but the real debate is: should you have access to the entire game as a beginner, since you already bought the game for crap's sake?
Like what? In what way are you talking about? Like the
So,
black and white mode where you have to go
oh no,
through
no.
Cuphead and
So in Cuphead, you can play like beginner way, like it's easy mode,
right?
and you can play all the game except for the last 2 bosses. So you can't even finish the story if you play on easy. You have to beat everything on normal or hard.
Huh.
And I come from the we come from the era when that was just a thing, where you could play the game on easy and you got to like stage 3 or something. And then on normal stage 4, and on hard stage 5, and then on very hard stage 6. Like some games did that where you had to earn your way to the next levels through difficulty. But that's like Super Nintendo era, and that's like maybe 64 era. I don't remember for PlayStation era. Like you had to earn your way because it was a way to keep the game longer because you had to just keep trying to beat it to get there. But in this day and
I mean,
age,
it's interesting. I mean, interesting concept because if you think about it, what's the point of easy and easier? We'll call them. I mean, the point is that you're not that good at the game in general, so therefore, if you mode, it's kind of teaching you how to play the game or how to get good, if you will. Um, so having aspects of the game that are locked off because you're on easy mode uh, is interesting because it kind of gives you those leading up to content the chance to teach you how to get good at the game and therefore go back and play the game on normal or hard mode in order to continue on or get to the end of the game or get to those locked off portions of the game. It definitely builds in some replay value. If you even want to call it replay value or value in general. It's just replayability, I guess would be the better term. Replayability would be the better term for that. But I mean, that stuff like that's kind of always gone on, just never to this extent because there's always been achievement, not always, but there's been achievements that have been locked off until you got every star in Super Mario 64 or with Steam and so forth, or Xbox achievements and all that other stuff. There's just really hard achievements to do. So, I mean, is that locking off a portion of the game sometimes? Maybe. I mean, there's been alternate endings and so forth. So,
yeah, it's
I
a thing.
I don't think it's done maliciously or with like malice in mind. I don't honestly. I'd had to think about it, but my initial reaction is I don't really have a problem with that. Like having a couple of levels or even like half the game or so forth, like locked off if you play on easy mode.
Okay. It's like for me, it's like, well, they bought the game. Just Because, I don't know, easy mode exists so that you can still see the content, despite the fact not being able to perform all that well. We're also in the age of YouTube where you can just look it up.
Yeah.
But it is like, I don't know, it sucks if you just aren't that good ever, or if you're a 5-year-old who's really that bad. I don't know, there's 5-year-olds who can play games. But I don't know, like, I feel like you paid for it. It's like needing to have an aptitude at watching a movie or reading a book to continue further into the book. I don't know. It's such a weird thing because it's not something you see normally these days anymore. It's
Right.
achievement to finish a story. You don't see that much anymore these days. So it was so weird to see that, and that might be the first time for some generations to see a game who's like, yeah, you can't finish it on easy. Nope, you're locked off. And it is, I don't know. It's so weird. I feel like you did buy it, so why the heck not? But also coming from the age when, yeah, things were locked off by skill, it's a weird space for me on that one. So I was curious on your thoughts on that. But for me, if I know I was gonna be bad at Cuphead, I wouldn't have bought it if I learned about that. Because just for that, if I can't finish the game, well then forget it.
Yeah.
Of course, it's my genre, so
yeah,
I did really well with it.
One of my concerns with the game in general is that I don't do bullet hells very well because I can't keep track of all the too many moving pieces for me, too many moving items. So I'm not very good at bullet hells. So I'm not. It's a little daunting, I guess. When I look at buying Cuphead, it's on my wish list, but it's probably one of those games that's going to sit on my wish list for a while.
It's good, but yeah, there's just so many games out there. Like, there's always an option to do something else. Like you said, like you haven't done Skyrim. Skyrim's amazing. Skyrim is, you can live a life playing that game. My God, there's so much in there. And then there's the modding of that game. There's even more to do in there. My only problem with Skyrim is it does get samey eventually. That's my only problem. Because every single dungeon, like, I don't know how much you play Skyrim?
0.
Oh, okay.
I've only seen a couple people play it, so I kind of know how in depth it can be. Like, build your own house, I guess, and join guilds or factions or something like that.
It's one of those games where you could spend. This could be the only game you buy. That's something that's good about Skyrim. That's something good about Fallout. These are games you could. This could be the only game you buy all year, and you're good. You are fine.
Right.
And not even with mods. Mods just make it even better. Mods give even more to it. But it is one of those games where you can spend a long time on it. Witcher 3 as well, but differently, because Witcher 3 has like so many endings to that game. Witcher 1 and 2, I don't remember how many endings those have. My opinion about Witcher is the power fantasy for men. Because you're this dude, he's really powerful, he's getting the chicks, and he's also, but the only thing is he's sterile. But if you're okay with being sterile, then you don't have any consequences to getting the chicks.
Yeah.
That's what Geralt is. And like, he is the power fantasy for some people, and he's also just a fun character in general. And it's also interesting how gray his world is. But he is the power fantasy. I am curious about the Cyberpunk game when that comes out.
But I am hugely interested in that game. I cannot wait for Cyberpunk 2077 to come out. I was so surprised when I saw the trailer. If you not even a trailer, I guess it would be
that teaser thing.
The teaser, yeah, it was just crazy.
It's things like it's the girl's just sitting there.
Yeah, in the street, and she's got blood on her little arm, T-Raptor arm claws, if you will, or whatever you're calling it.
Yeah, because I remember
motion bullets and.
Because when you first see her, you don't see the arms yet, I think. Like, you see her, and then you slowly pan to the arms, like, oh, shit. And then the bullet hits her face. You're like, holy crap, okay. That's something. And then, it's like Cyberpunk, like, okay, I'm interested.
Coming out when it's ready. That's funny, but it was released so early. So early. That was released, I mean, just that teaser alone was released 3 years ago.
Yeah. I kind of hate when they do that because I feel like it's just gonna, you got kind of a hype thing, and then it's gonna die down, and then I don't know. You only get one first impression.
Yeah.
So I worry about that. But I am hyped for it. We get quite a bit of Cyberpunk, but we also don't get enough Cyberpunk, I feel. Like, I really like Shadowrunner.
Mm-hmm.
Shadowrun. I really like Shadowrun. I like that world a lot. That's a Cyberpunk meets fantasy at the same time kind of world. Suddenly I'm forgetting the other Cyberpunks. Like Syndicate's another one, kind of. I think Syndicate's another one. There's not a Cyberpunk because I can't even think of any right now. Like just Shadowrun. That's it.
Well, there's one that
And
came out.
Cyberpunk.
God, that guy's name. Got the sunglasses on. There's a big old pre-order. Unlock the pre-order level.
Oh, besides Deus Ex, there's Deus Ex. Deus Ex is the Cyberpunk game.
Yeah.
I don't know how I forgot freaking Deus Ex because he didn't ask for this. You know, he didn't ask for this.
Didn't ask for this.
God, Deus Ex is one of the most amazing games of all time because just all the things you can do in that game, like the original. There are just things you can do. But yeah, I'm happy to see another Cyberpunk. Happy to see more. I don't ever want to see games go down because of the fact that I love all the different things we see. There's so many different games and ideas coming up and everything. So many different and also like it feeds on stuff with even nostalgia happens. Like Shovel Knight is just such a nostalgia thing, but it's its own thing. It's so good. And then also actually seeing nostalgia. Mutant League Football showed up in October, and it's such an arcadey fun game. It's like a mix of Blitz and old Mutant League. It's just fun. I really enjoy it. And I just like seeing nostalgia once in a while. That's one of them. Wolfenstein 2 has Wolfenstein inside of it.
Not the original.
Yeah, it has the original inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
That is so cool. Like, you can just... Because it's, like, how many KBs or how many MBs is the original game? Right?
Enough to fit on a couple of diskettes from whatever I remember.
So, when I saw that in, I'm like, oh my god, I'm playing the original Wolfenstein. This is so cool. And... Because, like, I remember playing the original Wolfenstein when I was a kid and playing Doom 2 when I was a kid. And so it's so cool seeing those things inside other games. But, what was I even saying a minute ago? Oh, there's just so many great games, but there's also nostalgia and things coming back. Like Doom! 2016 Doom was such a good game. It was such a great return to form kind of game. Really liked it. I'm excited to see how it's received on Switch. I'm very interested in seeing how that goes. Because people are like, what? Doom on Nintendo? What?
Yeah.
What? Does anyone remember Doom 64? Hello? But how about Conker's Bad Fur Day? Like, Nintendo isn't pure Disney. Like, there are some things that are not super wholesome about Nintendo.
Bayonetta.
Yeah, Bayonetta. And I haven't played 2. I've played 1. I need to play 2. But Bayonetta is an interesting game. There's just so many games. There's so many games and so many interpretations and so many ideas going on. And it's just awesome. It's just great. And so that's why I love gaming. And I hope it just keeps going. Like freaking Cuphead. Who saw that coming, right? Cuphead is just such a cool idea. I'm gushing about gaming. Don't need to. We all know games are awesome. So that's enough about games. So here's what's going to happen. Because we want to talk about this a little bit. And those who are just interested in the gaming stuff, that's it. We want to talk a little bit because you have a different perspective. I'm very interested in with the shootings and with all the sexual allegations. I'd like to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
It just keeps coming up because you brought it up in the first place. I'm bringing it up now.
Yeah.
I figure at the end we can talk about it. So anyone who's not interested in that, thank you for coming by. This is Kyllax. He's awesome. Big fan of Green Lantern. Oh, before we cut out, Justice League movie's coming. There's no Green Lantern in it.
There's not.
And so, like, are you hoping it does well so Green Lantern eventually shows up? Or do you think they should reboot the whole thing?
He's currently slated.
Okay.
It's a Green Lantern Corps movie, if I remember right. It's I want to say like 2020, maybe 2021. Jeez. I think it's on the docket anyway to have a Green Lantern movie. I'm concerned about the Justice League movie. I will say DC won some goodwill back with Wonder Woman. Because up until that point, it's just been failure after failure. I will say Wonder Woman was better
Mm.
than their previous offerings. So I'm I'm still cautiously optimistic.
Mm.
I'm still extremely cautiously optimistic about the Justice League movie. So we'll see. I
Mm.
don't have my hopes set high though.
I think just talking about DC for a second. I feel like they just let's try to be really Nolan. Try to be
Yeah.
Nolan without Nolan, and that's the problem. Instead of just letting directors have their own vision, they tried to be Nolan without Nolan, and it did not work. It's Zack Snyder trying to be Nolan, and that's not Zack Snyder. Also, I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder anyway, but Justice League looks like they tried to make it really fun.
Mhm.
At least from the trailers, they're trying to make it really fun, trying to make it very Marvel. Like, look, we learned our lesson. Just copy the other guy. It's like, you don't have to be them. Just find your real voice. I really feel like Batman vs Superman did not find the voice of what Batman and Superman are. I don't think it did. I don't even think Man of Steel did.
No.
And my problem with that is Kevin Costner's an amazing actor, but his entire Papa Clark is like, no, let me be taken by the tornado.
No.
Let me be taken.
Just let me die.
Just let me die.
I just want to go.
You have like 10 minutes to save me. Don't do it.
Your mother is driving me crazy. I'm done. I'm out of here. Whoosh. Like, I'll take the dog. You can have the dog. I forget what happened to the dog.
I don't remember either, but he could have just gone and grabbed his dad, like in normal running speed, and just like they just didn't get grabbed the tornado when he came back. Like he didn't. Yeah. It's
you
so
didn't have
weird.
To use your superpowers.
Like just the entire idea of how Superman is just not the best idea. Like I really don't feel like it represented Superman correctly.
No.
And Batman vs Superman, I don't think it represented either of them correctly. It's very frustrating. Wonder Woman represented Wonder Woman pretty well, I think. Like young Wonder Woman, because she's like young and naive. It's her first time out. She's kind of like, but she's still that warrior person. She's very much a warrior, and she's like, "Where's your warrior? Where's your warrior pride and all that?" And so I thought that was cool. Favorite thing though has got to be Themyscira. All those chicks. Yeah. There's a bunch of just badass Amazonians. That was my favorite part.
I think just so cool. They stumbled on the ending. Is probably my biggest gripe, because when she was having the final battle, not with Ares, but with the general guy, and it was just like this great speech about how, there is no Ares, there is no god of war. It's just humanity. It's just the way that humanity is. And I felt like that would have been a great point. There's no need to bring Ares into that. Yeah. I feel like that would have been a great end to the movie. It's just like, there is no embodiment of evil in this universe or in this movie. It's just human nature. And so therefore, that's why Wonder Woman has to continue being a hero, is trying to overcome human nature. You know what I'm saying? I felt like that would have been a better villain or a better ending for that movie, as opposed to bringing out Ares.
I think that would have been good. I think also just if they executed Ares better.
Yeah.
I think that would have helped too. Like, I don't think they need to have that big epic end. It could have just been a reveal Ares is still around at the end. Yeah. And he's playing a longer con. Like, he's like, I'm not going to reveal myself yet. Not yet.
Right.
Not yet.
Especially since it was set in World War One, that would have been a perfect setup. Because World War One is often, the ending of World War One is often referred to as basically just the beginning of World War Two.
Yeah, because it's the joke is, where were you for World War II?
Yeah,
it's like, wait, what are you talking? I thought that was the war to end all wars. I just left. There was another war.
Where were you at?
Like, there was another one. You
Miss Emissary for Peace.
Yeah, it's like, I'm champion love now. I also have an annoyance with that. I'm champion love now. I'm like, what? Wonder Woman's champion of love now? What?
Champion of love.
I don't remember the actual character's name, but Chris Pratt was amazing in that movie. I liked every scene with him.
It wasn't Chris Pratt. It was
not Chris Pratt. God damn it, Chris Klein.
Yeah.
Chris Klein.
Pine.
Klein. God dang it. Poor Pine. Poor Captain James T. Kirk. Oh my god. Why did I say Pratt? Because of course Marvel. But he was amazing in that movie. I'm sorry I said his name wrong.
No.
I really like, because I liked him explaining it to Wonder Woman. maybe there is no big bad. Maybe it is
Right.
just people.
Yeah. Maybe
He delivered
people.
well. And so, like, his death was good because I liked how they lingered on it. He's like, well, oh shit, I gotta shoot this thing. He's like, and then he fires.
The hesitation.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's so good. I thought he was done very well, and it's too bad he was a one time character because I felt like he really stole the scenes. But yeah, so hopeful for Justice League. Everything with Jason Momoa looks hilarious because, like, I dig it. This is oh, Batmobile because you're a bat. I dig it. It's like, oh my god,
got that
you
whole
go, girl.
freaking Metallica scream at the end of it.
Yeah. So, I don't know if they reworked it to make just a fun Marvel movie in DC or what. I don't know. But
I'm hopeful because Jeff Loeb is getting a writing credit on it.
Oh,
which means in order to get a writing credit, you have to contribute so much to the script. And I think it's like 25 or 30% to the script. So he came in later. So I'm hopeful that Jeff Loeb was able to save it. Save it from Snyder.
Oh dear. Like, even Suicide Squad, it had good points and a lot of bad points. So now we will move on to talking about a little more serious matters. So thank you for coming by for all the pop culture talking. And this is not pop culture, it's just what's happening in our culture. In the American culture of more shootings are happening. My dad was in Vegas when that shooting happened.
Mm-hmm.
He was there. And it's like, he was telling me about the chaos. And it was just, no one was allowed to leave or go inside the casinos because we're just in such a weird age now where just rumors spreading, but not just that, but on the internet to make it worse. Where there was only the one shooter, but people thought there were shooters at the Bellagio, people thought there were shooters at Caesar's Palace, they thought there were shooters everywhere. So no one was allowed in or out. It was very scary, very hectic. And then eventually, of course, it was just the one guy at the Mandalay Bay getting all those weapons and shooting all those people. And the damning thing with that was, the argument is, if we arm everybody, they'll be able to fight back. There's no way they could have fought back in that situation. And because even if everyone's armed, they're going to be carrying pistols. They're not going to be carrying a rifle to shoot back at a guy on the whatever 5th floor he was on. So they can't really fight back on that. So that wasn't a very good situation there.
No.
And for me, it's like, of course, there's gun control to talk about there, but it's also just the failing of Mandalay Bay security, just not catching all those weapons getting in there. And I don't know, it's just an ugly thing that happened there. Of course, it's extremely ugly.
Right.
But the most recent one is the one in Texas.
Yep.
And it was a church of God, of all places, for God's sakes, getting shot up. And there's so many failings there, because if gun control did work here, which it was supposed to, then supposedly he wouldn't be able to get a gun because of the fact that it was the Air Force or it was the Air Force where they failed to report on his mental issues.
They failed to register him in some database or whatever when he got out.
Yeah, so they're saying they're going to do an inquiry.
Yep.
So they're going to do an inquiry and see if any other cases didn't get reported either, because, that's kind of important.
Yeah.
And this is the thing about it is, we'll never really know how many times gun control has succeeded, because, well, there's no shootings happening at those times. The same thing with, we don't know how successful the CIA is, we don't know how successful any government is, because you don't hear about the times when they stop a plot, because they can't tell you that, obviously. And also, you don't really know. You don't really know when they actually have stopped a thing. And so we have these cases where shootings do happen, and this is one that maybe was preventable. It's unfortunate. But the thought process I have is, it's in Texas. There's no way people in that church did not have weapons, because they have to have guns on them. It's Texas. And that might be a bad assumption, but at least one person should have one. But you would think if people are getting shot at, their first instinct is to hide. It's not to whip out their gun and shoot at what's shooting at them. Would you say?
I mean, you're going to get a split. Because you always got the fight or flight instinct. So
True.
Some people want to fight, some people want to run away. So this is the
And
adrenaline rush and
that's
so forth.
true.
I think you get a mixed bag. So I think you would get I don't know. I mean, everybody might get an over response, I guess.
But
Uh,
because, but for you, like you have training for being able to do something what has to do with guns and stuff like that, and it would be like if you were in that situation, what would it be that you'd be doing?
if I were trapped in a shooting situation,
Hmm.
um, it depends, I guess, on who's with me and where I'm at. I'd like to think, or I would definitely be shocked at the initial setting, at the onslaught, because I mean, gunshots are jarring.
Hmm.
They're you kind of, and then you'll feel that adrenaline rush, and you just kind of look around and try to assess your situation. You kind of, one of the first things you want to do is probably seek some cover, if you can, and then help other people kind of calm yourself down and examine the situation if at all possible. Don't overreact and don't panic. Realistically, because that's not going to solve anything for you. It's not going to help you out in any way. You're just going to make poor decisions. Where people are getting trampled and so forth, and that's kind of the response that you see when people panic, as
Hmm.
opposed to you know, um, dropping down to the floor and then just kind of gathering yourself and gathering your situation. They kind of teach it in schools nowadays. You want to barricade if there's an active shooter, you want to barricade yourself in the door and tell people to get down. Uh, I don't I don't walk around armed, so I wouldn't actively fight back, but I would like to think that I would be able to help other people get to safety in some way, shape, or form, or at least provide some sort of assistance to first responders, point them in the right direction, or like, hey, I saw a guy over there, I heard shots over here, that kind of thing. But
Hmm.
that would be my recommendation: is just at the onslaught, take cover, and then take a couple of seconds. It's gonna be hard to fight against that instinct, but just take a couple of breaths, analyze your situation, and kind of decide on what the best route is, instead of making an animalistic, adrenaline fueled panic decision. So I feel like that's going to serve people better. At least that
Okay.
would serve me better.
Hmm. Because my whole thoughts is you're getting caught off guard. It's not going to go very well.
Right.
Even if everyone in that church is armed, they're getting caught off guard. They don't know what's going on. They don't know where it's coming from,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not going to go very well because the person who did fight back was an outsider. It was a neighbor who came over shooting at the shooter. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't someone from inside the church. It was like, yeah, they reacted and they did it. And then another guy drove over, seeing the situation, and they drove together to chase the guy down.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like the argument of if you arm more people, they can stop it. It's, well, thanks to these guys, if the guy was going to keep shooting people, they prevented that. So they're
Right.
able to prevent it from getting bigger. But
Right.
that doesn't stop the source of the problem. Like, it just prevents these things from getting worse, is how I feel. And it's like, well, what do you do to stop it? Like, there could be better gun control, but it's not the only thing. There's also, of course, mental health to discuss and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
my frustration is the right has been cutting mental health funding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if it was the same day as the shooting or a couple days before, but Trump just cut more funding for mental health. And he's like, and then he tweets, "We got to do something about mental health." Well, then stop cutting the funding.
Okay,
It's
but
like, if
it's
you want to use this as the excuse, then fund that excuse. Then
right. I, it's a difficult question to answer. It's a difficult
Hmm.
problem to answer. What's I find most frustrating is that there are a lot of solutions. I don't know what the solution is, but
Hmm.
doing nothing is not a solution.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm at right now. It's like doing nothing is not a solution. I don't know what the answer is. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
fund mental health or maybe enforce current regulations or look at forming a new regulation. I don't know what the right answer is, but it's got to be better than doing nothing. Let's do something
Mm-hmm.
about it. I don't know what that something is, but something. We need to
Yeah.
do something about it. I just don't know
Yeah.
what that something is.
Yeah. Things won't change. We don't actually change course a little bit, even just a little bit.
Right.
That's the frustration. I think that's the frustration that's been happening for years. Is we're doing nothing.
Right.
We keep saying things, but we haven't done anything. Like, there's people who are really mad about thoughts and prayers these days. It
Mm-hmm.
keeps being said. Like, thoughts and prayers didn't save those people. And it's like, it's not exactly what. It depends on why you're using it, I think. If you actually care, then yeah, thoughts and prayers. But when it comes to people who actually have power, I don't think they can only say thoughts and prayers. Like, they should actually be trying to see
True.
what they can do about it.
Yeah, I think that's the most frustrating thing, and it's kind of trickling down to people that don't have. Like, I can see it from somebody who's like, I don't have any money to give them. I don't live in the area. I don't have any items to give them, or whatever. I can't donate or do whatever. But at least I can send out positive. If that's the least that you can do, then
Yeah.
great. But if you can do more, then maybe you should do more. Like you're saying, from people in power, thoughts and prayers. No, it's time to do something more than just thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
prayers in that aspect. Yes, pay tribute or mourn the act and so forth, but then actually do something with your
Yeah.
position or your power.
Because you can argue that the little people do have a power, and that is the power to vote and to make calls. And they can still do that, but they can also still do thoughts and prayers. But you can only vote like once or twice a year. Like, they have to hold on to that feeling for whatever time
Right.
to get whatever legislators they want for what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's biding their time for that. While the people who are already in power, they can hopefully do something.
Right.
It's, I don't know. Politics gets very frustrating because it's politics.
Yeah.
Like, global warming shouldn't have been a political thing in any way. Which, it was amazing when Trump had the stand there where the guy's like, yeah, we're at the problem. And Trump had the stand is like, I've been saying we're not, but like, global warming's nothing for a whole year.
Yeah.
But it's like, it shouldn't have been a political thing because
No.
we're getting more divided, and it feels like we're just playing into the hands of people who want us divided. It's very frustrating.
Yep. They want us divided, and we're just letting it happen.
And the willfully wanting to happen. And so, leading into, of course, sexual allegations, the big one to talk about for politics is Roy Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Where there are people who are saying, even if he is a pedophile, I'd rather have him. Like, what?
I'd rather have a pedophile than a Democrat. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm like, what?
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, you can't. We can't be that divided, but if we are, holy crap.
Yeah.
The problem is, when has the news really been accountable, I guess? Like, you got CNN, you got Fox, you've got MSNBC, you've got anything in between.
Mm-hmm.
And they can say whatever they want. And you have to trust that they're doing it in your best interest, but it's in their best interest, not yours.
Yeah.
And they're pushing their agendas, and that's what's frustrating. But the problem is when has that not been the case, I suppose? Because yellow journalism is a word that has existed for many decades. It's always been a thing. The dudes who control newspapers have always known they have a lot of power.
Right.
And they've used it to their advantage. And so it's always been that way, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You have the independents who actually do actual good. But news has always been an agenda being pushed in some way. And news has created the problem, for sure. But it's always so ridiculous and damning when you see all the other channels are talking about this issue, and then Fox News is not talking about it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's like, Roy Moore. Why didn't Hillary say anything about Roy Moore?
Yeah.
What?
When did Hillary know about Roy Moore?
Yeah. It's weird. Like, I hate Sean Hannity because he's such a hypocrite. Right. Like, when I was a kid, I watched a lot of Fox News. Can't say why. I watched a lot of CNN, Fox News, and I tried to watch them all. I tried to watch them all because I'm a kid. I'm like, I want to think I'm informed, so I watched all the channels. And I was a big fan of Bill O'Reilly. because he's like no spin zone and all that stuff,
right.
and he's all very serious and all that. But growing up, you realize he's pushing his side's agenda, and same thing for Sean Hannity, and they're just ignoring. They're acting like they're actually being truthful. They're acting like they're being for a thing, but they're not. They're pushing their agenda, and MSNBC does it as well, and CNN does it as well, and it became frustrating. It became disillusioning to realize that they're pushing agendas and they're not actually trying to give you the news. And I really hate Sean Hannity because he's such a hypocrite. Because when it was Obama, he went over Obama's beige suit, and he went over what mustard he's putting on this goddamn hot dog, and we see so many faux pas out of Trump, and he's not doing the same scrutiny.
Ketchup on steak.
Yeah, and it's like,
oh my god, I can't.
I do it, but I've seen you tweet angrily, not angrily, but like no to that. But I do it. If I don't have A1, I'll do ketchup. If I don't have A1.
Well, it's not only the ketchup, but also that I think he cooks his steaks well done, which is like.
You want to eat like dry meat.
Yeah.
You're eating leather. You're eating leather.
You obviously don't want to have a good steak. Therefore,
a good steak really doesn't need not dressing. Condiments.
Right. No.
Like
I agree totally.
I think like halfway through it does, because at that point you've kind of gotten acclimated to the taste. You're just changing up a little bit. But yeah, a good steak doesn't need anything, and I feel like until later, because then you've already gotten through half of it. It's like I don't know. Why are we talking about that?
So going back to the divisiveness, and the Fox News and the CNN and the MSNBC and the media, I think it's just reached the point where it's just untenable, or it's unsustainable, or it's just too hard for all these media outlets to be neutral. Like it's not profitable anymore. They realize, I think they realize that fear is not working as much anymore. So therefore they have to kind of go for this divisiveness, push button us versus them mentality. That's the way politics, the Democrats and Republicans have kind of been for ever and a day. They find these big button topics and problems like abortion or gun control or so forth, and then be like, oh well, I'll be on this side and then you be on this side because it looks like we're about 51 to 49%, or just about evenly split. So I think those news outlets, it's not sustainable anymore for them to be neutral.
My frustration is from the beginning of our country, there's always been us versus them. There has always been, but there has always been room for compromise. We're founded on compromise, and it's just centuries of compromise. Like there's always been a hard push from one side or the other, and they're kind of screwing over the other side. But there's always also been compromises along the way as well. General Kelly. I saw him talk about Civil Wars, like the lack of compromise is how we got here. It's like, no. Do you remember those things that were literally called compromise, sir?
The Missouri Compromise, the Compromise, 18, like, whatever.
There were literal compromises. Like the entire,
huge compromise.
We had a lot of compromises because they were trying to keep the Union together long before Lincoln. They were trying to keep together because it was this divide between people who wanted slavery, people who did not want slavery. And the plan behind Lincoln was, we're going to lock it off. There's no more states that are going to have slavery. The West is going to be non-slave, and slavery will hopefully die a slow death. That has always been what he was going for. And then when it broke apart, it's like, okay, we're taking them out now. Okay, we're taking them back. We're forcing them back. And eventually, let's have the moral high ground, and let's get rid of slavery. Because that's what it was. It was a calculated move to just be more moral high ground and to get more recruits. Is if we're fighting slavery, that gets more people invested in this. And so, what do you mean no compromise? But then, of course, after the Civil War, all that, rebuilding the South, my God. But we've always had compromise along the way. Like, we can also say, like, Lyndon B. Johnson, he was doing compromises for civil rights and all that. Like, it was JFK wanted to do some civil rights stuff, but LBJ's like, no, you can't do those. We're not there yet. We're getting there, but we're not there yet. And then when it was LBJ in power, he was like, we can make these little things, and then he made the bigger pushes as well. And that's always how it's been. We ease into things. But like because of how old I am, I feel like I don't remember the Clinton era, but for like the Bush era, it felt very divisive. But then when Obama came around, the Republicans straight up said, we're going to do everything in our power to make sure nothing happens. Like, he doesn't do anything. I remember them saying that. And it feels like, and near the end of Obama administration was, for the justice, for judicial, to fill that spot in the branch. They're like, no, we're not going to do a thing because they'd do the same. It's like, that is so childish.
Right.
That is what a third grader says. That is not what an adult says.
Yeah.
Make a compromise and actually make this happen.
Right.
But they got what they wanted anyway. It didn't happen, and then they got what they wanted after Trump got elected. And it's frustrating because it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be grade school. It's politics. And yet it has become that. It's very weird. I feel like politics has become grade school. Well, the other side would be like this, so we're not going to do that. Like they're justifying their actions by saying the other side would do it in the same place instead of being the bigger person. I feel like that's where we are.
You guys are being petty. Grow up. Bringing
it back. So all that divide is why someone would rather have Roy Moore than a Democrat. And it's just, you gotta be kidding. That's ridiculous. And of course, all the celebrities and all that. And it's like, there's a difference between the two sides of this. You got all these celebrities having sexual assault charge, just any sexual allegations. Because there's assault and there's harassment and such and such. There's also politicians with the same thing.
Right.
But you're seeing it more on the right, besides Anthony Weiner. You're seeing it more on the right as being politicians, while on the left it's more celebrities. One of these has more control over the government than the other.
True. I'm wondering when it's going to swing from. I think it's going to only a matter of time before it swings from celebrities to the government. I think people are outraged by all this. But maybe it won't have as much impact on politics because maybe we just don't hold them to such a high degree of moral standard anymore.
We assume they're all snakes at this point, don't we?
Yeah.
And that is the most amazing problem, because we need them to be better, because politics are way more important than any. Well, we love movies, we love TV shows, we love all that. That stuff can do so much emotional stuff, but our way of life is affected by politics.
Yeah.
And it's kind of important to have the politicians be placed at a higher standard, for crap's sakes. It's a misery party. Oh my god. I don't know. The newest one though, because we're nerds. George Takei getting accused. I'm like, oh no, oh no,
oh
no, oh no.
Oh no.
Like right now I hope it's not true. Like I think that's how Louis C.K. people were a couple days ago. I hope it's not true.
Yeah.
But I hope it's not true. Like it's the whole, but the problem is it's always, they always say it's innocent until proven guilty. In public opinion, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. And even then you're guilty anyway.
Well, right now it is. I think that's the way it is now, but if you go back a couple of years and it was was that like some big streamer or whatever was accused of sexually assaulting somebody, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's not possible. That didn't happen." Blah 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 blah. Ooh. She's just making it up, and
yeah, that also happens a lot. Still now, like
still does, but I feel like
both are happening. Actually, I'm wrong in saying it. I said it incorrectly.
I feel like the in the public perception now that sexual assault and sexual harassment are big deals now. At the moment, they're very hot topics, if you will.
I think the way it happens, the accuser always gets crap. The accuser always gets crap. The accused doesn't get as much. I think now it's getting more even, where both are happening, because there are fake accusers. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And I think it's a hunt for normalcy. The belief that they're not a true accuser, because you don't want to believe all these horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to believe this person is lying. I think that's part of it, which is horrible for anyone who really is a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got the Louis C.K. victims, you have all the Bill Cosby victims, you have now with the George Takei, the Kevin Spacey victims.
Mm-hmm. Harvey Weinstein victim.
Harvey Weinstein, dear God. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
Right.
If it's only this one guy for George Takei, then it gives me some doubt. But if there's multiples, then holy crap, then I can't really want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Because I don't know, it's celebrities, and we look up to some of these, well, not these specific celebrities, but maybe someone looked up to them. Right. Like George Takei has been an advocate for a long time. A lot of people look up to him. Louis C.K., a lot of people see him as this great comedian, so there's probably comedians who look up to him. No one looks up to Harvey Weinstein. Kevin Spacey, people looked up to him for sure. He's such an amazing improvisational actor. Mm-hmm. Like, I probably look up to him as an actor. Mm-hmm. Not as a person, but as an actor for sure. So it does suck to see these people you believe in being accused of these things and then finding out they're true, even more so. Yeah. Like, Louis C.K., though, was like an open secret in a way. Like, people knew. Right. They talked about it all the time. Weinstein apparently was one, but of course, being just a layman, I don't know anything about that. But of course, I'm just hoping about the Takei one it's not, because that's a pretty bad one if he's being a hypocrite. Mm-hmm. And it's just, how about we just be decent human beings? Like, my standpoint at this point is, because Paul Ryan said in a couple of this was like, as a father of daughters, as a son, as a this, is like, as this male thing that has these female things attached to it, I am appalled. It's like, you don't have to be a father. You don't have to be a brother. You don't have to be all these things. You can just be like, yeah, it's horrible. You shouldn't be treating women like that.
It's called being a human being and having some sympathy and or empathy for your fellow human.
Yeah, you can just be that. Just be a dang human being and have empathy. For crap's sakes. Yeah, don't whip your dick out.
Yeah, would you like it if somebody did that to you?
Like, I can brag. All the women who've seen my dick wanted to. So there you go. Like, you can brag that. Like, they wanted to see it, guys.
Stamp of approval, right?
I was like, I'm not.
Every woman who's seen my dick has wanted to see my dick.
Like, I'm not freaking just harassing people or. Like, I want to believe that I'm just a human being. Even with power, I won't be a horrible human being. I don't think power corrupts. I think a lot of people just are kind of shitty, but we can have good people because we have lots and lots of people who don't actually do that crap after all, but we don't think about that either. Because
well, the problem is you just see those people.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I think that's. I don't think we've had more sexual assault. I just think we've had more exposure of sexual assault. Yeah. Like, I know sexual assault went on in the past. I know sexual assault that's going on now. In the future, it's just, you just see it now. Yeah. It's kind of being dragged out or exposed. So.
Because it was Alfred Hitchcock. He did the same thing. He used his power. He used his position of power to get on women. And when they fought back, he ruined their careers. It's a very unfortunate thing. Like, even Hitchcock, this guy who saw respect and everything, he was also a bastard. So it sucks.
Oh. Heard that before.
And so, like, it was the chick from Birds or one of his other movies. He was like, all right, sleep with me. She's like, no. He's like, okay, I'm going to ruin your career.
Right.
And it's like, well, damn.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing. And that's because Hollywood is, well, any situation makes or breaks an actor. And so you get why that was an open secret for people with Weinstein, because he was a kingmaker. And so they were like that. And it's so horrible. And it's like people saying, hey, we all knew, everyone knew. Well, why didn't you do anything about it?
Because he was so powerful. And it's like, well, take that. I mean, take Hitler, take Kim Jong-un, or take all those dictators and stuff. It's kind of the same, not the same, but it's kind of similar situation. They just have so much power, and so many people are afraid of what they're gonna do or what would happen to them if they took a stand against them. So
I think
Weinstein's kind of the same way.
The biggest example that people don't think about is Stalin. Mm-hmm. He literally erased you from history. Like, holy crap. Like, you got erased. You got photoshopped out of history. That is That is scary. Like, holy crap. And better end this already. Jinx is gonna murder us. Oh my god. It's going so long.
Sorry.
But
Well,
one
why don't you
horrible
just have her
thing.
cut it up into 2 segments then? Do like the video gaming segment, and then you could do like the political.
It might be at this point. But like, just to make it more horrible, really quick with Russia. This might have been after Stone. I don't remember the time of the. It had to be after Stone. The time of the space race.
Yeah,
when they were sending out cosmonauts, there was that couple. They sent out a man and a woman. They got sent out, and their rocket got lost. And it's them calling out for help with distress signals. And the last thing the woman says is, "No one will remember us," because they got erased from history. Because any failures don't exist, so they didn't fail ever.
No, I'd never heard that. So there's your proof right there. They just got erased.
To Russia's credit, they did get the first female cosmonaut. They beat America by a year.
To space, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We've gone long enough. Good talk. Where can everyone find you these days, Kyllax?
Oh, the same places. Twitter.com/the Kyllax. I'm on YouTube at the Kyllax, and then email Kyllax@hotmail. Want to email me? Nobody emails anymore. So
yeah, really, everyone DMs. Yeah,
tweet at me seems to be the best way to get a hold of me.
So this has been basically a podcast, a very long podcast, but we've been gone for 5 weeks. So,
Got to bring it back with a bang, man. Come back at full force.
And it's really just talking about what's going on, and well, it's majority gaming, but it is basically a podcast, so we can talk about other things as well. But majority gaming, some pop culture, and I guess if the rest of the world creeps in this case, it was a little bit of. We're having too many shootings lately, so that's why that's there, and we're having a lot of sexual allegations lately, so that's there as well. But yeah. I had fun talking about it, from watching and listening. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.